In Arunachal Pradesh, after the clash that took place, China is now trying to gain control of the strategic heights after the thrashing and bashing it received by the Indian troops. But it failed, remember, has been till now on 9th December. But China is starting to build infrastructure in a big way on their side, of course. This is in the Bumla area. But the Indian forces are also prepared. Gaurav Sawant is on the ground right now in Tawang and has sent us this ground report.
Days after the Dragons' failed incursion in Tawang's Yangtze region, the Chinese army is beefing up its presence in other regions. Sources tell India Today, after the Indian army foiled the PLA's attempt in Yangtze, China has deployed its army in the Bumla sector. India, however, enjoys the upper hand here.
At an altitude of about 14,000 feet, the India Today team is currently in the Tawang-Bumla sector. We are on the Tawang-Bumla axis. The army is deployed here in numbers. After the Chinese army failed in Yangtze, the information was that the Chinese are building up in large numbers in Bumla. Again, high altitude, again with a history of 1962, but lessons learned, the army is deployed in numbers. Along the way, there are some gun positions, some 155mm howitzer positions, but we are not showing those positions to you as they would compromise security. There are bunkers of the forces, both of this time and some of the older bunkers of the 1962 war can also be seen around here. The army is deployed here in good numbers and there is some troop movement that is also taking place. Simultaneously, there is an air exercise that is on. The Eastern Air Command is carrying out its command level exercise.
The waterfalls and lakes along the Yangtze-Tawang-Bumla axis are a major reason behind China's incursions. The Tibetan population living here considers the water from these lakes and waterfalls holy.
At an altitude of about 12,500 feet, the India Today team is currently at the Sangatsar Lake. This is not very far from the line of actual control. In fact, the waterfalls and holy lakes in this region are one of the principal reasons for the friction between India and China. Now, lakes and waterfalls around Yangtze. Now, Tibetans on the other side of the line of actual control also consider this extremely holy. The Tibetans on this side, they visit these holy waters and they pray there. Now, India dominates these heights. If you look around, look at those jagged peaks right behind me. These altitudes are anything between 12,500 go all the way up to 17,500, and this is where the army is now deployed in big numbers. India Today is the only channel to come so close to the line of actual control near Bumla, in Tawang, on the axis to Yangtze. Now, these are three different axes where we are reporting from ground zero to be able to get you an assessment of the deployment on the Indian side and the preparedness on the Indian side. That preparation is whether it's the infrastructure development, building civilian areas also. In fact, at the Sangatsar Lake, while you see a lot of military deployment, you also see civilian vehicles here, because the effort of the administration here is to ensure that civilians, whether in Arunachal Pradesh or from the rest of the country, also are stakeholders in protecting India's territorial integrity. And that is why the Sangatsar project is extremely significant. Religion, strategy, military and location. Multiple reasons why China is desperate to come into this area. Equally important, why India is very keen to hold on to this territory, and this leads to friction. There are multiple, there are about 8 friction points in this area. Yangtze perhaps the most sensitive of those 8, but even now there is massive deployment. That's what sources are telling India Today.
The local Tibetan leaders in Tawang believe that China desperately wants to change status quo along the LAC in order to control these lakes and waterfalls.
Multiple waterfalls and 108 lakes in this part of Tawang. form the bone of contention between China and India around the line of actual control in this region. Now these waterfalls and lakes are considered holy by the people of Tibet. They are on the Indian side of the line of actual control. People from Tibet want this holy water. China has desperately tried to control the 108 lakes and the waterfalls. It is said that one of the spiritual leaders of Tibet had sprinkled his prayer beads, and wherever those prayer beads fell, 108 lakes were formed in those areas. The people here worship this water. China has repeatedly tried to take control of the access to these lakes. China has repeatedly failed, like it did at Yangtze.
Sources tell India Today the Indian Army has done a major deployment in the Tawang sector. With both the countries raising their presence, a de-escalation won't be easy. With Gaurav Sawant in Tawang, Bureau Report, India Today.